Here is our Tech Pack template sample evaluation form, which I'm going to teach you how to fill out to evaluate new samples you get from your factory in 10 minutes or less. Okay, so you're going to want to fill this out each time you get a new sample back from your factory so that you're able to send them back comments in a very neat and organized way to keep everyone on the same page and make sure all comments always stay within your pack. So, first of all, we have the first 4 columns, which just reference the previous measurement specs that we have in the tech pack already. We're just copying them onto this page to make it really clear exactly what it is we're doing. So I'm just going to use a formula to copy over the specs from prior pages. I'll just show you a few different measurements to make it easier. So we have the point of measurement, the measurement descriptions, and then I'm going to copy over the original spec measurement as well, and the tolerances, because we're going to need to see these, all of these. All right. So you would copy over all of the measurements in your spec. And then I'm going to want to go ahead and measure the same measurement descriptions but on this new sample that you've received from the factory. So if you want to, you can go ahead and change the title of this sample column if you want to call it, prototype number 1 or fit sample number 2. You can rename this. And then you're going to add in here the measurements that you've taken from your actual sample and have a look at our how to measure tips video if you need some guidance on that. So let's say our sample here measures 29.5 across the waistband width. Let's say it measures 31 across the high hip and 34 across the low hip. So this difference column over here is automatically calculating the difference between the measurements on this new sample and the original spec measurements, right? So you can see Tom B measures 29.5, which is half an inch bigger than the spec, right? So if we reference our tolerance column here, our given tolerance was half an inch. Therefore, half an inch difference is okay. So this is what your tolerance column is for. It's letting you know what is going to be allowed and what isn't going to be allowed. So you can mark it off as yes or no super quick. So half an inch difference is okay. So I'm just going to write here in the column, okay. Then we've got the high hip width, which is measuring 31 inches instead of 32 inches, right? So that's a big difference, 1 inch, and 1 inch is outside of the given tolerance, which for this measurement is half an inch, right? Each measurement is different, but this one's half an inch. So it's incorrect. So we're going to write this industry standard term, which instead of incorrect, you just write return to spec. And last of all, there's a third option for your notes if you want to use it. And that is if you decide you want to change some of the measurements from what they were previously to something different, either because you're changing the design or because you've done a fitting and the results of that were that you needed to revise some of the measurement. But if that's the case, obviously you don't want to write return to spec or okay, you want to indicate that something different is going to be used. So then we just put change. And there's conditional formatting in this Excel sheet to change these text colors for you, so you don't need to worry about that. But you're just going to go through the whole sheet, add all your actual measurements, all of the differences will be calculated for you, and you can then see, all right, every single point of measurement. Am I saying okay to approve it? Am I saying return to spec? Or am I saying change? So if you have any change notes on this sheet, you're going to need to write a revised spec column. If you do that, just change the revised spec column title over here and add the date, just so it's always clear what date the spec has been revised if you're kind of referencing them later. And in this column, you're going to want to write what the revised spec is. So for this one, we've said, okay, right? So the revised spec isn't really revised. It's just the same as before. And again, they're returning to spec for C. So we're just going to write the original measurement. But then low hip width, let's say you want to change this to 35, or you've decided you wanted to add an inch. So we're just going to add a formula to add an inch. And there you go. You're now showing the revised spec in this last column here so that the factory is clear on what the new measurements now are. And once this whole comments table is filled in and you've evaluated all of the measurements, you're going to want to go through the rest of the tech pack, all of your other pages, the materials, the callouts, the construction, color, etc., and make sure that everything is as it should be on the sample and follows exactly what is in the tech pack, right? And if there is anything that's not quite working out, or that you don't feel is correct, or that you've decided you want to change, we're just going to want to add a comment about it here at the bottom. So here's one example. You don't like the button that they put. So here we're just going to write change button to follow bill of materials. You're going to want to keep all your comments very short, very snappy, easy to read, and just very clearly demonstrating what you want. Sometimes you may need to add extra diagrams or images to explain what you want. Those are always 100 times better than words. So if you do that, just duplicate this page like this, move or copy, create a copy, and we're going to want to move it to the end. And then just on that new page, delete all of this and this, and just insert an image right here showing whatever it is you wanted to add. Okay? And that's it. Simple, organized, easy. Thank you.